All right, we're live.
Oh, well, I don't need a countdown. Hello, folks. Wrestling with the Future is live and on the air, and this is when you go live, this is what happens. This is our year-end special and our look ahead to 2022, and we have a stellar panel tonight. Let's introduce everybody. My man, the man who brings us to the gathering tonight, Jammin' Jake the Snake Hudson. Jake, how are you, brother?
How you doing? And can check your green again.
Beautiful. We'll get him. We'll get him. From the abyss of hell, Michael Armageddon Murphy. How you doing, Murph?
Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome again to another installment of Wrestling with the Future with Mad Dog Angelo DeCipio. We have a loaded show tonight. We're coming to you live. We're going to take phone calls. We're going to take questions. If you call in, we're here for you. We're doing our year-end review, I believe. I'm sorry, my correction. Future Wrestling with the Future.
Yeah, predictions for the future.
Yes,
rounding out the panel is a big green screen right now. is Christina Zuriel Kurchenko. Let me tell everybody a little bit about Mr. Kurchenko. He is a former professional wrestler with the National Wrestling Alliance. He is also a former Crossroads trucker, certified United States Jiu-Jitsu Association. I'm sorry, Judo Association, third-degree brown belt in Goshin Jitsu. He is also a studied individual in the properties of aircraft power plants and airframe at Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology. He attended there from 86 to 89. I am assuming that he graduated with some sort of a degree there. And if he didn't, then somebody needs to know it right now. Corsita, are you with me, brother?
Man, I'm here.
We can hear him, folks.
You can hear me, but you can't see me.
Again, this is live, and this is what happens.
Right now, he's doing a John Cena imitation. We can't see him.
Exactly.
I'm incognito, man. I don't know why you can't see me, man. I see myself.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's Jake, you want to see if you can get Christina?
I think it's on his end. I think that's on his end. I think that green is on his end.
You know what, Christina? Why don't you pull yourself out of the stream and then come back in again?
All right. I think that's.
It's got to be something. It's got to be something really stupid.
All right, we got him back now.
We do.
I got
so stay right there. So
let
me tell everybody what we got going on tonight, because we got a long show, and I want to get everybody in, but I don't want us talking over each other.
And he's green screen
because
again.
we have a really long show tonight, because it's going to be a couple hours. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to bring in Christina at the outset here. You're a guy that wrestled big time for a while. You were with the National Wrestling Alliance.
Right.
You see trends come and go. Here in the last couple of years, from let's say 2019 to the present, we've seen this disturbing trend of undertrained, overworked young athletes. Far too often, and Mr. Murphy and I have a problem with this, far too often getting hurt, working unskilled at an unskilled level and at a much too high level for their training capabilities. When you broke into the business, give everybody kind of a feel for what your training was like.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, man. I see the same thing. A lot of guys getting in the ring that just have no business being in there. They were trained by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. It's kind of like the blind leading the blind, and they convince these people that they're ready to get in the ring, and then they get there and they get hurt. They look bad. But when I started, I was trained by somebody that was had been in the business for a long, long time, the great Malenko. And
sure, absolutely.
Yeah, and so he had a legitimate school. He had some clout. He had, the personality and the character, and he had the ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had a big class. I mean, we had lots of people in there. I mean, some of us started at the same time. Barry Horowitz, Al Perez, myself. Yeah,
I love Al Perez. I love Al.
Absolutely.
Here's a guy. You want to talk about a guy that's really underrated and underappreciated for the work he did? Al Perez is that guy.
Yep.
He really is. Who else was in your class?
Oh, man, there was a lot of people there. Those are the ones right off the top of my head. Bob Cook.
Oh, my God.
The Bob Cook, the guy with the great punch,
Yeah.
We trained together. We all of us started about the same time. I think Bob maybe came in a little bit later.
Yeah, but Pook Ninja said Barry Horowitz was underrated as well. He sure was. Pook is with us. Pook, I got a question for you. We're talking about guys that were underrated. Barry Horowitz was one of those guys too. For an enhancement guy, and back then, they were called jobbers.
Right.
They literally did the job. And so when someone says that a jobber is a derogatory term, it's really not.
No.
These are guys that did a job, and they got paid well to do the job. Barry Horowitz was one of these guys that was super underappreciated for the work he did and really, really good at what he did.
Yeah.
So
that was Barry's thing.
Yeah, exactly. Jake Hudson, I'm going up to you, Jake.
Number one, I just want to say to the people in the chat, if I can catch a comment, I'll just put it up for the crew. But
well, I'll tell you what. I first of all, thank you everyone in the chat room tonight.
Thank you.
If you guys have questions for any of us, how we started, where we've been, what we want to do, fire it. Let Jake know. Fire it at Jake, and he'll pull a few questions out.
Yeah. By the way, sorry.
Go ahead, Armageddon.
Corsita, I actually, if I have the person right, Barry Horowitz, I had the privilege of wrestling his son. What was it? Brian. He went by the name of Brian Hardy. I might have that mistaken, but I believe he was Barry Horowitz's son.
Yeah, you're not mistaken, Mike. That was exactly who he was, Brian Hardy.
Yeah. And I took his title from him too.
I'm sure he appreciated that.
Well, I tell you what, I remember watching Barry Horowitz on WWF, and I actually remember seeing him getting over one time. I hit because every time I see him, I'm like, oh, why they got this guy out here? He never wins. I mean, I was a kid then. I didn't know anything about the business, but I actually saw the one WWF win that he had under his belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, he finally won one.
Shout out to Wonk X. How you doing, Wonk X?
We got a question for you. What is your opinion on New Japan Pro Wrestling?
My opinion?
Your opinion.
New Japan, it was the premier organization in the world. It was. It no longer is. Ever since Baba and Antonio Inoki left us, they left that company, and they each at one time had that company. It was Japan All Pro and New Japan. Giant Baba and the late Antonio Inoki had that organization, and it was like a well-oiled machine. All the Japanese promotions were. I have a problem with who's running it now, because it's far more mafia controlled than wrestler controlled. And when I say mafia, I'm talking about the Japanese Yakuza. They
mafia. No, there's no such thing as mafia. That's a myth.
It's not a myth in Japan, brother. They're real. Trust me. The Yakuza is real. I have a real problem with this, with the so-called strong style, because people are hurting themselves. Again, what we're talking about, undertrained, overworked young people hurting themselves. You know, New Japan is one of those groups that's doing it wrong. They're just not doing it right. And so I have a real problem with that. And I've had a problem with that for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it runs rampant, Angelo. It runs rampant through the business.
I'm curious to hear what Korchenko thinks. What do you think about that, brother?
Yeah, well, it is run rampant. I agree 100%. I watch a lot of these independents, you know, and I see it, man. I was like, good God, I like, please get out of the ring. You know, you have no idea what you're doing. You look crazy up there. You look stupid. Get out of the ring. You know, go get some training somewhere. Go find somebody to train you the right way. You know, but
let's talk about that on a major level for a little bit. Last week, we were very fortunate. I had my dear friend Barbara Goodish here, Bruiser Brody's wife.
That was 3 weeks ago.
She's a wonderful lady. I've known her for a long, long time.
Angela, that was 3 weeks ago, not last week.
Oh, 3 weeks ago. Wow, I got ahead of me. Thanks.
Hey, guys, I can barely hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear
me? Barely.
Okay.
I think it's me. Hold on.
Korchenko, can you hear us?
I hear you right now. It was breaking up there a little bit, but you're okay at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I was too close to my microphone.
Well, it sound like a robot right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we got Jake. Find out what's wrong with our audio here, brother.
Last week it was us plus Mike, Missier, and the other guy.
Right.
And before that it was Armageddon, me, plus Armageddon, and what's the other guy?
But here's what I'm getting at, Jake. And for the benefit of Crescito, here's what happened on a grand scale. They had a guy built like a brick shithouse, Lex Luger, and they put him in with Bruiser Brody. Okay, now Luger had the Adonis body. He was a great looking guy, built like a brick wall, but he had one small problem: he couldn't work. One little technical error, he couldn't work. And they put him in with a guy who was a big guy who could work. And that led to all kinds of problems. It led to Frank not selling for Luger in one of the classic historic matches that even today, 30 years later, we're still talking about. I'm sorry, 35 years later, we're still talking about.
Yeah.
I know that match you're talking about too.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yes. He wouldn't sell anything.
In a cage in Florida. Interestingly enough. Here's the thing, though. When on a grand scale like that, when you screw up big, and it's almost forgivable. But the guys that are coming in now, they're all oiled up. They're all tanned up. They look like $1 million, but they can't work.
Like models.
They look like models. They're not trained. You know, they're unskilled, unprepared at the very least. That's a recipe for disaster, man. And I would love to know what our audience thinks of this. I mean, I know I have a bunch of guys out here that's got strong opinions. Yeah. So, Jake, why don't you pull one of our questioners out? Let's see if anybody's got a question.
The only thing that this right here, Barry also did good as Jack Hart in Florida.
In Florida Championship Wrestling, with Gordon Soley. Yep.
You know,
I remember that.
I got something I want to say, Angela.
Go for it.
By the way, my dad was a truck driver for 55 years.
I salute truck drivers tonight.
Thank you.
Mike Murphy and Korchenko, truck drivers.
Sitting in one right now.
Wait,
Yes, sir.
what was you on? Big Rig Bounty Hunters? Was you
Yeah.
on the TV?
Yeah,
I was marking out. I knew it was. I was marking
Yeah.
out in the beginning. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
watched that
did 2
show.
seasons. Big Rig Bounty Hunters did 2 seasons on the History Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Thank you for what you did. Thank you for what you do. You do
Absolutely.
because truck
Thank
drivers
you.
are the last of the cowboys. They're the last of the cowboys.
That's true.
All
You know.
right. We have a question.
Go ahead.
This is Jimmy Thunder from Down Under. We have a guy. This is the guy from New Zealand.
Oh yeah,
Angela.
hey Jimmy, how you doing?
This is a question for all of yous. Do you think the rise of MMA and UFC has taken a toll on the wrestling business in its numbers?
1,000% yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
MMA is kicking ass in a major way. I got news for you, and I've said it on this show. I said it about 10 months ago. I said MMA is doing wrestling better than wrestling. And they are.
I agree.
Dana
I'm a big fan of MMA.
Dana White is the new Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree. I think MMA and UFC, it's good for what it does. It's good for what it produces, but I'm seeing it kind of on a downslide.
Actually, Mikey, nothing could be further from the truth. The money, the bottom dollar, the bottom line, as they say, is always the bottom dollar. And the bottom dollar is way up in the mega millions for UFC and MMA.
Hey, Mad Dog.
You can't argue with the money.
Mad Dog.
Yeah, bro.
Michael, Armageddon sounded like he was in a box.
That's okay. Don't worry about
because
that.
I can barely hear you guys.
It's all good. Well, it'll all work itself out. I'm not even worried about that.
Why don't you get a pair of headphones, Mike?
All right, listen.
Well, if I can afford them, I'd have them.
Jake, okay, listen. We don't have time for that. Okay,
right.
We're live. We got at least a 2-hour show ahead of us.
Let's go.
We got a lot of ground to cover. So and it's only 7 o'clock. I got at least another hour and a half.
All right.
So here's the deal. We know where. I hope we know where we're going. How do we get there safely, Murph? How do we get through? We got through this year, thank God. How do we get through the upcoming year and still have some semblance of wrestling, have some level of enjoyability? I want to know what my smart marks think out there. I know I got a bunch of smart marks in the chat room tonight. So look, this is your show. I want you guys to throw your 2 cents into this. I want you to tell me what you think. So go ahead, Murph.
I have not gave my thing about UFC. Murph.
Go ahead, Murph.
What was the question again? Like I said, I can barely hear you guys.
The upcoming year, 2022. We got through 21 with some level of dignity. Are we going to get through 2022 with some semblance of wrestling, some semblance of wrestling history, entertainment? What are we looking at? Is it going to be what we remember?
To be honest with you, Angelo,
or is it more bad wrestling?
I see AEW trying to bring that back, bring the old days back.
Okay.
What they're doing is they're doing more actual wrestling, less interviews, where WWE is sports entertainment. They do about 45 minutes before you even see the first match.
Yeah.
Hopefully this coming year they can change that, but I seriously doubt it.
Jake, what do you think? What's 2022 hold?
The one thing that 2022, you say 2022. You know, there's going to be some good wrestling.
Well, what do you expect to see?
I expect to see some great action.
Okay.
AEW.
I certainly hope so, Jake, because this year's been horrible. It's been a really bad year for wrestling. Corsito, what do you think? What's the next year, 2022, hold for the world of pro wrestling?
Well,
is it more of the same, or does somebody got to shake up the ground a little bit and get everybody moving?
Yeah, well, I think you're right there. Somebody does need to shake it up. I'm not a big fan of the WWE. It is sports entertainment. But it's, I'm from the old school, and we just did things totally different back in the day. I wrestled from the years from 79 to 93. And, man, the way things are now is nothing like we did. And it's just,
you know what's fun as you're saying that?
Not at all.
As you're saying that, we have Pook Ninja. Pookie is here. He says, I have a hard time even watching the current product. AEW is better than WWE, but AEW is still more entertainment than I like.
Yeah.
I'd like to pursue that. I'd like to pursue that sports entertainment question. And I've asked this question before, and I still have not gotten a satisfactory answer. How do we draw the line between sports entertainment and professional wrestling? What is the linchpin? If anybody's got an answer, and Kurchenko is itching, he wants to talk. Go ahead, baby. Go for it.
So you know what? You know what I see? You know what I see? I see some really good, solid independence organizations out here. Some good promotions that are going back to the roots, are going back to the good old days of pro wrestling, the way it was. Yeah. With the road trips and the interviews and the house shows and such forth. And I see some good talent in some of these shows. Like a friend of mine, the Golden Boy, Mike Golden, he's around forever too. And he runs he's involved with a promotion in Georgia, and they got some top quality talent. So I mean, I'm seeing this happen, and that excites me. I like that a lot more than I like WWE. I'll be honest about it, and I say if it goes back to that, I think these independents, some of these are drawing nice crowds, and that excites me to see the people showing up for this. These people still love wrestling, but I think they love it like it used to be back in the day.
Yeah. Juan Crew X has a really interesting observation, and I want everybody to comment on this. Think about this. He says, I feel like wrestling has fundamentally changed. I was a diehard fan until 2007. Back then, being a well-informed fan just meant that you knew that what the Undertaker's real name was. Now people follow wrestlers on social. Let's talk about that. There was a time you couldn't get near these folks. They were
absolutely.
They were
absolutely.
So let's talk about that. And thank you for that question, man. That's a great question.
Great
question.
I want
everybody to take that one. Kurchenko, take that.
Yeah, well, that's true. We were kind of like untouchable back in the day. Of course, we didn't have all that social media back then like we do now.
Yeah.
You couldn't just dial somebody up on Facebook. If you wanted to talk to one of us, it was like a chance thing, and we might not.
Yeah.
But that social media thing has opened it up. Opened up the talent to the people, and I think the people feel some kind of closeness with these people, with these guys now, and these ladies.
Yeah,
they feel that closeness.
For you, though. I have a question for you. You're a guy who was in that position for a while. Is that a good thing? Is it a good thing to know who your hero was, or have we completely lost the element of mystery? The thing about wrestling is it was always a mystery. It was like the magic trick. You didn't know how the trick was done,
Right.
Like,
exactly.
once I'll be honest with you. I want to be honest. I want to mark out over here a minute. Okay. I'm a huge Magic fan. Okay. I'm a David Copperfield mark. All right. When I found out how the Statue of Liberty trick was done, I want to tell you something, brother. I was a 45-year-old deflated person. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I was happy not to know. It was magic. It was like mysterious. How did he do it? Nobody knew. You know, Murph, you're chomping at the bit, Murph.
I agree with Corsita. I want to ride off his coattails on that for a little bit. Back in the day, like when I was coming into the business, and Corsita was coming into the business, and back in the day, just to get a tryout at a reputable gym or something, you had to know somebody who knew somebody who was friends with somebody whose second cousin's sister dated a wrestler. Okay. Right. And then you went to the tryout where, now I know when I went to the Wild Samoans, my first night of training, they didn't tell me don't eat anything 4 hours before training. Okay. I ended up on my knees in the bathroom. But the thing of it is, they all kind of looked at me and smiled and said, okay, well, let's see if you come back. And if the guy came back, then okay, maybe this guy's got some sand.
Yeah.
But social media has helped professional wrestling, but it's also hurt it. Okay. And when I say it's also hurt it, I mean, it's like you said, it's taken the magic out of it, the mystique. If you want to know something about the wrestler, you can just, I'll go to this website, and you've got the whole guy or the lady's whole life story.
Murphy, as you're talking, hold on a minute, Murphy.
Before, you had to hear what the announcer would tell you about him, or that you would read in like Bill Apter's article or something like that.
Mike, hold on a second. I don't want you to lose that. I want you to listen to this. If somebody agrees with you here, Pook Ninja says that's part of the problem. I agree. I'm sure Bill Watts wouldn't let Kurchenko talk to the fans after the matches. That's what the guys and gals now do on Twitter and such. So here's my question to you. And it's kind of an open-ended question. Anybody can take it. There was a time that if you wanted to find out what your local wrestler was doing, you had to buy a magazine, The Wrestler, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Inside Wrestling. Okay, you had to buy the magazines.
Right.
Well, the magazines are obsolete now. Now everybody's on Twitch,
or you
Twitter,
listen to somebody
Facebook,
like Dave Meltzer.
All this stuff, right? But here's the thing, though, and you might have an opinion on this, Jake. Here's the question, though. Is that a hindrance now? Does that now knock down the fourth veil? Is the fourth wall gone now? Is it all exposed? And is there a way to pull back the onion again?
The thing is now, because we have Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all this social medias, wrestlers are now. But here's the thing. Some of the wrestlers don't even I've heard that WWE forces you to get a Twitter to be part of the show.
Well, we're going to talk. That's a really good point. We are going to talk about that at some point tonight. Not just yet, because I want to get to Pook Ninja's question, because it's a really very, very important fundamental question.
Pook Ninja's a great wrestling fan. I've had him on my own.
Oh yeah, I know who he is. Absolutely.
He even on his channel even has four parts of the Jim Cornette ring roast. The ring roast of Jim Cornette.
Here's the thing, and that's all well and good, but let's keep it to what we're talking about. Does social media obliterate the fourth wall?
I think it does.
Yeah,
I really
does.
I do. I mean, people look. Fans want to have stars. They want to have their stars, right? But
Yes,
if
sir.
you're on social media, you're blending in with the crowd now. You're not separating yourself as an athlete, and the people want to be close to you and want to be part of you, and then they get offended when you're not. And so it's like I think they should stay in that cloud, so to speak, so that people have their stars. And that mystery you talked about, the mystery's gone, but it's just gone. You know, I mean, it was when I was growing up, it was a mystery. These guys were a mystery. You didn't go up and talk to them. You know, you didn't know anything about them.
Story with you guys. I want to share a story with our audience.
You know what?
I've been in this business a long time. My uncle was a promoter. I'm not going to mention his name because I've had him on the show many times, and it's not important at this point. But here's what is important. I took a lot of car rides with a lot of wrestlers. I learned things in those cars that you can't learn on a 20-minute flight junket from this town to that town. You just don't have enough miles or hours under your belt to do it. I spent 3 years in the World Wrestling Federation. That's who I worked for. That's where my bones were made. If anybody wants to know, you can check it out if you like. Anyway, bottom line is this. Nobody takes a car ride anymore. Nobody's taking the time to educate the young crew. Nobody's taking the time to kayfabe anyone. Whatever happened to kayfabe? They don't even know what kayfabe is anymore. You say kayfabe to somebody, they don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I don't know what it is.
Murphy, tell everybody what kayfabe is.
Character.
Kayfabe means if you're doing something and the fans come around, stop.
In other words, if Murphy's the heel and I'm the face, if we get caught in the same car together riding to another city, we're dead. He loses his job, I lose my job. Why? Because the face don't ride with a heel. Look what happened to the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Duggan. Duggan's career was ended over that. Okay?
Yeah, well, Coke might have something to do with it too.
Yeah, well, true, absolutely. But I think as big a factor, Mike, I don't care what anybody says. The Coke, yeah, absolutely. Having Coke in the car didn't help. But I think the bigger insult was having a heel and a face. The two guys, don't forget, two guys, Murph, they were in a heated battle with each other. They were in a program. They ran that program for 3 years. The USA versus Iran. Brother.
Oh, I know. I saw it.
What happened, man?
Well, see, Angela, one thing.
Angela,
one thing when I was in the business, the only ones who really were allowed after, when we were leaving the arena, there's always fans that hang out after the arena to try and get a glimpse of the wrestler, get a handshake or an autograph. The only ones who were really allowed to interact with the fans were the babyface.
Yeah.
The heels, I would walk through a crowd. Well, yeah, get out of my way. Leave me alone. I had to keep up that persona.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they expected. That's what the promotion wanted me to do.
That's what you got paid for.
Yeah, the babyface could sign all the autographs he wants. But the thing of it is, I think, and it's not just face or heel, because we don't really have faces or heels anymore.
Well, that's the problem. And let's stop right there. Boy, you brought up a fucking albatross if there ever was one. There are no faces. There are no heels. Everybody's neutral. What the hell is this shit all about? Everybody's neutral. Let me read this. Pook Ninja says, WWE should use social media to promote events and storyline feuds. I disagree. I think every wrestling federation should be free of social media. No social media, no Twitter, no Facebook, no Instagram, no MySpace, that if they still use that. None of that crap. Like the old dirt sheets. If Apter didn't write about it, it didn't happen.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.
If Bill Apter didn't write about it, if Gordon Soley didn't say it, it wasn't so. And we have the ability right now to go back to those days right now.
I don't agree.
We do. With the click of a button, we can do it. All they have to do is shut down. Mike, I swear to God, one click of a button, brother. All they got to do is shut down their social media, and everybody goes back to the way it used to be. One click of a button.
Unfortunately, I don't agree, because I feel the damage has already been done.
If you want, Mike, but you'd be wrong.
Huh?
I said you can be in the minority all you want, but you still be wrong.
Well, no, I'm wrong in your opinion, but I think the damage has already been done.
The damage has way been done. Are you shitting me? It's beyond been done.
I'm saying the damage has been done to the point to where it can't be repaired.
Yeah.
I think
they have to come out with a whole new angle of professional wrestling.
I think it can be repaired, but it's going to take something drastic, like the click of a button to shut down all of their social media. Kurchenko, what do you think? How off base am I?
Well, I think you're right, but I don't think it's ever going to really happen unless there's some kind of cohesive regulation with the different promoters around the country, and get together like the old NWA office used to do, and come up with a whole game plan. And it's kind of go back to something like that. But man, I don't know. I know some of these independents are trying to do that.
Yeah.
But
here's the problem,
very, very small markets there.
Yeah, Corsita, here's the problem, brother. Everybody wants to be the boss.
Everybody wants to be the boss. Yep.
That's the problem. That's the problem. They all want to be boss.
And you got too many of these promoters out here that want to be promoters that have no idea. They don't know nothing about professional wrestling. Yeah. And all they want to do is throw some people in the ring, try to draw a crowd and make some money.
GM Gonzo says, even if every wrestler turned off social media, there's way too many involved that would take a payoff. You're absolutely right. It's the Meltzer effect. How much money? Shove some money in my pocket and I'll tell you what you want to know.
Angelo, look at the banner.
I see it. I love it.
Go
ahead, Murph. I cut you off before. Go ahead, brother.
That statement right there, that's what I was talking about. No matter how much you want to change it, the damage has been done.
Yeah, but like I said, I agree with everything you're saying, and Corsita as well. But here's the thing: it would take something that drastic, to go back to the zero reset. Okay, to start from scratch. Yeah. That's what it would have to take. Somebody would have to have the brass fucking cojones, the balls to shut it down and to say, I'm shutting it down. I think Tony Khan has those kind of cojones because I think Vince's cojones dried and shriveled the fuck up along with his brain. Because I think he's way the fuck off base. He's still trying to do stuff he did back in the 60s. Problem is, this ain't the 60s.
Yeah.
And those storylines and those angles don't work. Where have we seen the golden egg angle before? Oh, geez, only everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't play that angle no more, Vince. Can't do it. Go ahead, Jake. You wanted to say something.
Here's the thing. What they need to do, what WWE needs to do is like some of the big truck companies are doing right now.
Okay, explain.
You know, the big truck companies has some of these rules. You know, not telling. You know, I know this is not a rule that WWE needs, but this is a rule that's out there. Drivers are only allowed 11 hours of work time. Is that right?
That's right. 11 hours of driving time, 14 hours.
Yeah.
14 hours of work time, 11 hours of driving. That's it per day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you on the show Big Rig Bounty Hunters, you showing the real side of trucking.
Yeah.
They showed the real side of stuff, and you know,
Jake Gonzo says the only thing kayfabe is used for now is for the police.
Yeah, I saw. By the way, that's my friend. Chris
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah,
they only use kayfabe now for the police.
But
sounds about right.
There's more truth to that than a lot of people might want to admit to.
Yeah,
right. It's truth.
You know, the thing about wrestling and stuff now, it's like you got these people that want to be wrestlers that they spend this money to go to be sitting. They want to be a commentator at this show. I'm not going to give any names, but they spent $500 just to sit right in the top of JBL and the announce team at SmackDown, and they're tweeting. Sorry, quotes are coming out. Tweeting at Road Dogg, Triple H, and all these other people that work at WWE just to try to get a job. That's not how you do that.
I agree.
You have to know now. You now have to know. You used to have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody to get in the business. Now,
not anymore, brother. You can get into business now with a phone call.
Here's the thing.
It's scary. It is scary, Jake, how easy it is to get into the wrestling business now.
I tell people that I see these people that want to do this, and I hear they have taught themselves because they watch like WWE and that. Go to a freaking wrestling school. Go pay the tuition. Go to when Mike Murphy opens his school, go to his school and learn from a professional.
Hey, I'll plug for Murph. There you go.
Go to Wrestle Pro. Go to Create a Pro in New Jersey, New York. Go to those wrestling schools. You know, I heard that Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson actually has a school here in Mississippi.
Well, Ricky has a school in Bristol, Tennessee called the School of Morton.
Yeah.
Really good school, too. In case anybody wants to know, I went to the Monster Factory. I was trained by Larry Pretty Boy Sharp. I'm sure, Cressida, you knew Larry in your day.
We crossed paths a few times.
I'm sure you did, brother. Everybody crossed paths with Pretty Boy.
You know what? I got a question for Kachenko.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jake. Question, yes.
What do you think about this new WWE next step thing that they're doing for the people that are in the NCAA?
I'm not crazy about it. Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. Murph.
That was questions for.
I gotta ask my two pro athletes here what they think about this. Are you guys familiar with what Jake is talking about?
No. What is that? That question again.
Here's the gist of it. The WWE is allowing college athletes to get paid once they've completed their college education. They're signing them to what essentially amounts to deal memos prior to signing a full-fledged contract. Keep in mind, though, that a deal memo is legal and binding on their end. It's not legal and binding on your end, but it's binding on their end. So, Kurchenko, what do you think about that? Professional and amateur athletes being allowed to go to WWE to apply their trade. You've got swimmers, runners, javelin throwers, basketball players, football players, who all have the perceived ability now to go work for a wrestling company.
Oh,
Give me the pros and cons of that.
we had we always had amateur athletes that went into the pro wrestling ranks. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. But I guess if you got the talent, right? If you got the ability, if you think you can do it, if you can get trained, I don't really care what your background is, whether you're a javelin thrower or a track runner or a shot putter. Whatever your amateur thing is, if you got a talent, if you have a real talent, because professional wrestling is more than just being an athlete. You got to have that certain character personality thing going on too,
Well, let me ask you a question along those lines.
I have a news article I want to put up.
Hold on, Jake. I have that's it. There you go. Yeah, here you go. That's what Jake is talking about. Understand, Jake, can you scroll down that and show everybody?
I am doing it right now.
There you go, brother. This is what Jake's talking about. It allows potential pro and amateur athletes to get signed, to get deals. The problem I have with this is, what about the people in NXT that are already there? Will they get bumped because somebody else already has a bigger name or a bigger reputation, or they're already a star? What happens to the you know what I'm saying? What happens to those guys?
Well, I think it depends on that star power. They're not going to bump somebody if they're drawing big money. It all boils down to money.
That's not necessarily true, Corsita. That's not necessarily true. They actually did it with Big Cass, and they did it with, hold on, Jake. They did it with Big Cass, and they did it with Enzo Amore.
Yeah.
Over allegations.
I know they've done it some.
Over allegations that turned out not to be true. But they still bumped them over something stupid. But they knew they were wrong, but they can't come back. I got a problem with that on a lot of different levels, because let's just take the Usos, for example. One drug after another, one porno video after another, and they keep letting them come back in. Why? Oh, because I'm related to The Rock, and I'm related to Roman Reigns, and I'm related to Jimmy Snuka, and I'm related to the whole Anawati clan.
You
know?
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead, Murph.
In a way, I like Garcia said, I really don't care. I mean, if they can get properly trained and they can do the work, well, then they can do the work. And if they have somebody in NXT that gets bumped because the new guy came in and can work and perform better than that other person in NXT, well, that's the business.
Okay, so a guy graduates Armageddon's training academy, right? He goes down to NXT in Florida. They sign him because they said, kid, you're pretty good. You were trained really well. Okay. He puts all this blood, sweat, and tears, not to mention the money, into his career, right?
Yeah.
So what happens now? All right, so what happens now? He gets bumped. Oh, well, sorry, kid, that's just part of the game. It's the breaks. I got a problem with that on a lot of different levels.
Yeah.
I want to know what my viewers think about this. What's your opinion on this?
I got a question for the panel.
Go for it, Jake.
Sorry, I got some music playing in the background. What do you guys think about they don't put China in the Hall of Fame, and they put her with DX. They did put her in the Hall of Fame, but put her in DX. But she deserves her own spot in the WWE.
That was bad on so many levels. I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to go there. It was just so bad. So okay, it's just you and me, Cressida. Jake brings up a point about
I'm still here. I'm just
China in the Hall of Fame. What do you think about that? Did she deserve her own spot?
Well, you're breaking up. I hear you now.
Okay.
I think
I don't know what happened there.
I'm just looking at it from the surface. I'm not. I wasn't.
I apologize.
Okay, hold on, Murph.
I wasn't privy to anything behind the scenes with her. I don't know. On the surface,
Right.
I think she deserves a place there. Of course,
Absolutely.
she contributed a lot to the business.
Absolutely. They've got. Here we go. Let's see here. Jimmy Thunder from Down Under. New Japan have a dojo in New Zealand run by Bad Luck Phil and Angelo's friend Tony Kazina is the head trainer there. Okay, well, this is true. Tony is the head trainer there. But understand that they're not training the U.S. personnel for U.S. They're training U.S. personnel to work overseas. And there's a very big difference in the style of training. And it's very unlikely that any of those people will ever see their way to AEW or Ring of Honor or NXT or WWE. Very unlikely in the remotest sense. Highly improbable. Jake,
I saw a documentary. I saw a documentary on female wrestlers over in Japan a few years back.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, first off, some of these women wrestlers over in Japan are tougher than the guys. And
they're great workers.
These female wrestlers, when they're training, they go and they live at the gym. They are subservient to the trainers and the other wrestlers above them. I mean, they may train for 3 years before they even get a match.
True. I like to read this. This is Pook Ninja. NXT is kind of like fast food training for pro wrestling. They crank them out and try to push in. You know what, brother? I got to give Pook Ninja.
Yeah.
Pook Ninja gets a shout out on that one. For sure.
Pook Ninja, I got to say, I love the questions you've been hitting us with.
Kudos.
You've been right on the mark with everyone.
People who watch this show and listen, more importantly, listen, because this live streaming is kind of new for us, but we're heard on 271 radio stations around the world. We're also heard on 304 podcast platforms around the world.
2 TV stations.
And 2 television stations. Thank you, Jake. Here's the thing, though, and I want people to hear me when I say this. It's really important. I have been saying for years that NXT is taking good talent and grinding them up like sawdust and pushing them back out.
Yeah.
They're doing more damage than good, and they have consistently done that since day one. And it's getting worse because Hunter is not in charge anymore. Bruce Pritchard is. And worse yet, so is the boss, Vince. Vince has been down there. Can you imagine you're a trainee in the performance center and you see Vince McMahon walk in? You don't know whether to shit or go blind.
Go ahead.
You know? You don't know whether to shit or go blind.
Oh, sorry. I was going to bring him in. I brought him in.
Oh, here you go. Korchenko's back. All right, brother.
Yeah, I lost the internet connection. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right,
you
brother.
in a truck?
We got you back. Jake is a whiz with that shit. He'll bring you back.
Are you in a truck?
Well, tell him to whiz up. Tell him to bring up the volume.
Yeah, I'm in my truck.
He's in the cab of his truck, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of truck is that?
It's a Freightliner Cascadia.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big mother.
I'm
Yeah, big
sorry.
man.
I'm actually I'm nerd. I'm actually a truck nerd. I'm a son of a truck driver. So
Awesome, man.
I've been riding in big trucks all of my life, so I know about these trucks.
Good deal,
Some of
man.
the I fell off a few trucks a few times.
You have one unread message.
Send me a message.
Jimmy Thunder from Down Under. I think Vince has lost his marbles, in my opinion, and no one has the balls to tell him that. Well, the last person that had the balls to tell him he lost his mind was Vince Russo, and Vince Russo got fired.
Yeah.
I know this because Vince Russo is a friend of mine.
Vince Russo's been on the show before.
He's been on my show 3 times.
Yeah, and by the way, we lost Kachenko again.
Shout out to Vince Russo. Hey, Vin. Hi, bro. Bro.
By the way,
I love you, bro. That's my boy Vince. So,
by the way, shout out to Vince Russo.
Bradley, go in your house and go get that truck. All right, Brad. I hear you, brother.
Hey, by the way, Mississippi State's better than Tennessee, Bradley.
Oh, Lordy. Uh-oh.
I'm not a Mississippi State fan. I'm an Alabama fan.
Let's Mike Murphy brought up something important.
Sorry.
Women's wrestling. Because I got some bombshell to lay on you. 2022, next year.
Yeah.
CBS Sports is bringing back the Women of Wrestling. Wow. WOW.
Yes.
And guess who the champion is going to be?
Who?
Tessa Blanchard.
Well deserved.
Tessa's coming back to WOW.
First ever female to ever win the Impact Men's Championship.
Yeah, well, that's kind of that was a shit in the, and on the business in a big way.
Yeah.
I'm sure her father had something to do with that too. Piece of crap he is, Tully.
Tully, I've heard that people have had issues working with him
he's hard to do business with, and Tully's a pain in the ass. I'm just going to call it spade a spade.
Yeah,
Tully Blanchard's a pain in the balls.
I've heard.
And if you do business with Tully, you better have a pocket full of money.
Or, by the way, did you see the Arn Anderson Glock promo?
No, and I really don't care to. Let's talk about women's wrestling, Jake. In the next coming year, I think women's wrestling is going to take a new place. I think it's finally going to take its recognized place in the world of wrestling. Now that there are actually women who can work and who do it well and look like athletes and look presentable. Yes, and I know that she's the stepdaughter of Magnum. Magnum has been on my show and talked about it. He's been here twice.
With Tombstone Jesus.
Yep, sure was. And Magnum's a great guy, and he will be back on the show again. Let's talk about women's wrestling, Murphy. Where are we going with where are we going with ladies wrestling? It's clearly, it's clearly
this past year, past couple of years, I found that the women's wrestling, one was more entertaining than watching the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather watch Tessa Blanchard and Becky Lynch, and I'd rather watch those guys than watching. No offense to Becky's husband, but I'd rather watch those guys than watch Seth Rollins or whoever they got is the main face or whatever this week.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh man.
It's my prediction for 2022 in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
More bad wrestling.
Yeah. I'd like to see wrestling.
Yes.
your promos because they're not working. They're really not working. Keep your promos. Let's do wrestling. First, learn to wrestle. Then learn
It's like, hey guys, I got this great concept for professional wrestling. How about we do professional wrestling?
How about we do wrestling? Yeah, great idea.
I mean,
great idea.
Corsita. In our day in work, and now you made it to a level I never got to. I got to the indie circuit. You were in the NWA. You worked with guys like Tully and Dusty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I never got to that level, although I would have loved to, but I probably would have been in the back trying to get autographs and pictures. But the thing of it is, though, wrestling today, AEW, like I said, is trying to bring back the days of old, but they're trying to mix the two. Tony Khan has been doing a great job. Yeah. Vince McMahon is drowning. Okay, I'm sorry. Everything I've read, the WWE is hemorrhaging money.
Yeah,
and
it's
they're just not putting out a good product. AEW is. AEW does wrestling.
Yeah,
you see wrestling from the minute they come on till the minute they close.
Yeah,
WWE, you see 45 minutes of promos and bullshit.
Yeah,
before you actually see a match, and even the match ain't that great. At least in AEW, they've got split screen when they run their commercials to where you can still watch the match.
Yeah, well,
and also
tell me I'm wrong.
No, I can't make an argument for you.
No, definitely not wrong.
You're not wrong.
I mean, WWE, who's going to be the old timer that comes back in January? Goldberg, Hulk Hogan. Maybe they can dig up Lou Thez.
Here's something.
Kevin Nash.
GM Gonzo says Bray Wyatt was the only reason I would turn on WWE. And I got news for you, Gonzo. Kudos to you, brother, because he was the only real character. Listen to what I'm saying, folks.
I agree with Gonzo.
Character that company ever had. By the way, who is Bray Wyatt? Happens to be Mike Rotundo's son, a legacy. Okay? Yeah. But he wasn't legacied in. The fucking kid worked his balls off to get that spot.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Before he was Bray Wyatt, he was, I forget his name, Husky Harris.
Yeah.
He was.
I mean, call him what you want. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and it's really important. The legacy wrestlers that are still with the company, by the way, and they are leaving at an alarming rate. And don't be surprised. And I'm going to say that spoiler alert. So get ready for it. Don't be surprised if you see Roman Reigns jump ship and leave WWE, because there's a lot of knowledgeable people. The really smart marks are calling this one. Okay, so
maybe we can have John Cena come back again.
Oh, please no.
Please no.
Please no.
Murph.
Angela, what did he say? I couldn't hear him.
I'm gonna say again, Jakey, please.
For the 2 weeks I've known you, that's the stupidest thing you have said.
Oh, he said Murph. He said it's the stupidest thing you've ever said.
Yeah, Jake, there's a little word in the dictionary. Look it up. It's called sarcasm.
Sarcasm. Yeah, sarcasm.
Yeah. What's up, White Dad? How you doing?
I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I sent the link to him. I've sent the link
Why
to
not?
White Dad.
PWO. What's PWO? Fill me in. Smarten me up.
Pesci World Order. By the way, here we believe in either the HWO, the Hudson World Order, or the DWO.
Oh, is that the Pesci World Order?
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Mike Mike Laurie, a.k.a. Mr. Pesci.
Yeah,
You're good with me, kid.
It was
You're
a
okay by
misunderstanding
me.
on our end. It was a misunderstanding.
So you're good with me, brother. Let's talk about women wrestlers that are overused, and let's just get right to the point. Women wrestlers that need to leave the business. I was trying to be polite about it, but there's no way to be nice about it. Like
I think we all know who we're thinking of.
Charlotte's done. I think Charlotte
Flair right there.
So yeah, Charlotte needs to go away. Becky Lynch needs to go away. Her and her husband need to leave. I'd like to see, and I don't know why they don't use this lady. I would love to see Asuka. She was. I don't know if she's still with them. If she's not, they need to bring her back.
They're still it's on the main roster.
She's still there.
Yeah.
They need to start using her better. Because she's probably.
I'd like to see Bayley come back.
I like to see Asuka. She's
sorry.
probably the best female they have.
I heard Vince.
Is she still out with an knee injury?
What?
Say again, Murph.
She has an injury.
I said, is she still out with a knee injury?
It was a shoulder injury.
Oh, shoulder?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd heard she had blown out her knee.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, Murph. Okay, so Christina, we're talking about female wrestling, ladies wrestling. Who do you like this year, and who looks good next year?
Well, you know what? I can't even answer that question because I don't know any of them. That's how much I follow them.
Brother, I got news for you. And you know what? That comment was validation for so many people you don't even know. Because there are people who watch this stuff and they don't know. If you're watching this stuff and you don't know who they are, that says all I need to say about the state of wrestling today.
I can't. I have a hard time watching. It grates my nerves. You know, I try, but then I just can't stand it.
It's like watching nails on the chalkboard.
It just grates my nerves. I have to turn it off.
Murphy and I agree. We could watch 5 minutes and we got to shut it down. I haven't seen, and this is no lie, I haven't seen a full episode of any wrestling, AEW, NXT, WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan. I haven't seen any wrestling in a solid 5 years. Straight shoot.
Well,
I haven't either. You know, Angelo, I used to have sleeping problems, insomnia problems, but you know, I found one thing to cure that.
Yeah, it's cool.
I just turned on WWE, and within 15 minutes, I was asleep.
Yeah. Thunder Rosa. That's a lady I'm hearing a lot about.
Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa, yeah.
You know, I've been, you know, there's a lot, you know, I
saw Thunder Rosa before she was famous.
I've seen her. Her and Miranda Gordy had a knockout match.
Yeah.
At the Jackson Generals baseball field for Jerry Lawler's 50th anniversary. I actually have a question for Kachenko.
Shoot, man.
Go ahead.
Do you speak to your partner that was on Big Rig Bounty Hunters? I forget the guy's name.
Yeah, Marshall.
Have you spoken? Is he still around, or?
He's right across the parking lot, matter of fact. He's in his truck. We both work at the same company. He's in his truck. But yeah, he's my best friend. We talk all the time, every day.
Yeah, wow. Sorry for asking that question.
No, that's fine.
That's wonderful.
You know
what? I'll tell him you mentioned him. He'll be happy.
Yeah. By the way, you know, I said on the show and they said that you was a former wrestler. I didn't connect the dots until I watched like a documentary that he was on.
Well, brother, I thought you had this shit down, brother.
It's like a robot. Say again.
Jake. What?
I thought you had it together.
Sorry.
But you knew everybody, man. But okay, so now.
But thing is, when I was like watching that show,
Yeah.
I didn't have it was a few years before the Jake Hudson gimmick, and I wasn't on YouTube as much.
Oh, I got
And I
you.
was in History Channel. I like what History Channel put out, like Big Rig Bounty Hunters, that show, the Vegas Pawn Shop show.
Yeah. Okay, well, Jake, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to cut you off there, brother. I want to talk about the rumor mill. Let's talk about the rumor mill for 2022. Rumor has it, and we'll start with Murph on this one, and we'll go around the horn. Rumor has it that the WWE may have a new potential buyer named Dwayne Johnson and his partners in Disney. What do you make of that, Murph? Good, or do you not care?
I could see that happening, and I think it might be good because if you look at Dwayne's career, he gives the people what they want. He knows what the people want, what the fans want, and what WWE is producing now is not what the fans want.
True.
So I think if Dwayne and his business partners were to go into it and let him run it, I think it could only be good for the WWE.
Yeah. You know, I got to say, I've heard that from a couple of really, really reliable sources, really close sources to the source of the matter. And Vince wants out. He finally wants out of the wrestling business. Shane McMahon does not want the company, but Stephanie has expressed an interest in it. The problem is her husband, Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H, has been beset by health issues. I don't know, Mike, if that's going to happen. Corsita, what do you think? Could that potentially happen?
Yeah, I see that happening. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing the direction that it would go with McMahon kind of moved out of the picture and some new thinking. You know, some new faces and some somebody that understands the business. You know, like Dwayne Johnson. So I think it could be an interesting twist to the business. You know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. There was a hint of that rumor earlier in the summer, late June, early July of 2021. In fact, it pictured Dwayne Johnson and Vince McMahon and several other individuals kind of making this thing public, you know, for lack of a better word, giving credibility to the rumor, like they wanted you to know what was going on. And I think Vince is far too prideful to say that he wants out of the business, but he's not above and beyond dropping hints along the way. And Murph, you know that he's done that all along his life.
I don't think, like you said, I think Vince is too prideful to come right out and say it. But over the years, I believe he has dropped hints. When he has his own movie company and this another run at the XFL and naming it sports entertainment. I don't think Vince has wanted to be involved in wrestling or sports entertainment for the longest time. But on the other hand, it was making him boatloads of money, so he's not going to walk away from that.
Well,
I think he's just gotten older. I think his health is failing because he doesn't look good.
Yeah, let me interject something, Mike. Let me interject something here.
Angelo, what do you want me to do with this comment?
Hold on just a second. What did that say? I think Jake's a great guy, and Jake's going to stay.
All right,
So Jake stays.
I'll delete the comment for you.
Wow, that's harsh.
Well, guess what? It's harsh, but Jake's going to stay here. That's just the deal.
Here's the thing.
I'm not going to shy away from anything. I welcome all comments, good or bad. I will never, and I've said this before, I will never, ever censor anyone. Yeah. I will never censor anyone. Period.
Right. No, I agree.
Hold on a second, Jake. You gotta hold on a second, brother, because it's really important what Mike is talking about. Vince has talked about this before, about at some point stepping away. He should have did it years ago. He's about 15 years too late. Okay.
Agree with that. Yep.
Walking away now would be at the very least, Corsita. At the very least, it would be almost as an homage, really, than him just walking away. It would be ceremonial, is the word I want to use. But Vince McMahon, as a promoter, ceased to exist around 1983. In fact, he doesn't like being called a wrestling promoter. He's a television producer. I've said this on my show ad nauseum. Okay? Understand something. I've been in this business a long time, 48 years. I ran my own promotion for 24 of those 48 years. I worked for other feds during that time. World Wrestling Federation, the National Wrestling Alliance, the American Wrestling Association. And I worked for various state organizations, Jersey NWA. I've worked for Pro Wrestling Superstars. Dino Santa was I worked in conjunction with Dino on things. But understand something. The wrestling business that I knew, that I worked in and grew up in, has ceased to exist for all intents and purposes in the mid-90s of the last century. All right? Understand that. This is
Angelo, you gotta remember, Angelo, you were there when Jesus Christ took his first bump.
I love you too, Murph.
I'm sorry, Angelo. I had to bring a little levity.
I am. Oh, look, I'm the old man of the crew. Okay.
Oh, your social security card number is 1.
Yeah, I know, right?
1.
True.
Your favorite, by the way, the superstar that went. By the way, when Angelo was a little kid, he looked up to Abraham Lincoln.
I look up to everybody. I'm 5'3", brother. So let's talk about where we go.
I was trying to make a joke.
I hear you. Corsita, 2022 is going to be a very different year for wrestling. What needs to happen to bring some semblance of wrestling back to the world of professional wrestling?
Well, it's got to start with the training. I mean, these guys. If you're going to get in the ring, at least buy some damn wrestling gear. I mean, they're getting in the ring with a pair of shorts on and tennis shoes and shit, and a t-shirt, and it looks like shit. And it doesn't do anything to promote the image of professional wrestling. And these the guys don't even look like you would think a professional wrestler should look.
Corsita, when people go to Hot Topics to buy their ring gear, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm serious.
It's a problem. I can't stand it. I see that, and it just drives me nuts.
Oh, brother, please. That's the biggest peeve I have. Mike Murphy has worked for me. He knows the biggest pet peeves I have. People who look unprofessional and people who call everything in the back. You work for me, you're not allowed to call in the back because the heels and baby faces are separate with no cell phones. Okay?
Right.
On different sides of the building. Dig it? Old school. When you work for me, you call it in the fucking ring or you don't work. You're looking at a guy. You are looking at a guy who turned away the Triple WA champion because I can. And because he wasn't ready for my standards. Okay? You work for me. You're going to work right. You're going to work smart. You're going to work safe. And you're going to work kayfabe old school style.
People are giving.
Angelo, I gotta agree with Corsito and what he said. I see these kids, and I can call them kids because I'm old. I see them with sneakers and jeans, and okay, I get it. Wrestling gear, boots, and stuff like nowadays are expensive, but you know what? This is the profession you've chosen to get into. This is what you're supposed to love. Then you're willing to spend the money on it because it's going to pay itself back. You see a guy get up in the ring in jean shorts or sneakers or whatever, or baggy pants with a ton of zippers on from Hot Topic. How can you take that guy seriously as a professional wrestler?
That's what I say right there. You can't.
Brother,
you're not going to take him seriously.
Exactly. You can't.
Invest in
I've seen
pride. Have some
I've seen Angelo throw guys out of his locker room for showing up, and that was their outfit, and he told them, get out of my locker room, you're not working tonight. I've seen him do it.
That needs to happen a lot.
In a New Jersey casino, no less.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, this kid showed up, he had black jeans, white sneakers, some kind of funky shirt, and elbow pads, and he was going to go on the ring line. Angelo said, no, you're not. He says, if that's your getup, get out of here. I don't need you.
Exactly.
What about
that's it,
What's that,
People need to buy the wrestling gear. They need to invest in if they're going to play the part, they need to look the part. I mean, even when I started back in '79,
singlets anymore.
We bought boots. I mean, we bought gear. I mean, even during the training, some of the boys would come in, like Louis Estella would come in, and he had wrestling gear to sell, and and I was friends with Bill Ash, and him and his daddy. They made the boots, B-Bar A Boot Ranch.
Sure.
So I bought my boots. I mean, I couldn't afford them, but by God, man, I borrowed the money because I wanted to look the part. I wanted to have the gear, but we all did though. We all went to Malenko. We all had the gear, man.
I've had people come to me and say, I can't afford to buy this. I can't afford to buy that. Ask me. If I have it, I'll give it to you. Murph knows that.
Yeah.
If I got it, I'll give it to you. Go buy yourself.
I'll tell you what.
Get
one pair of boots I always wanted. I always wanted a pair like Dusty Rhodes or Sam Houston had, or Magnum Tate. I always wanted a pair of those cowboy style wrestling boots.
Yep.
Because one, they just look cool as hell.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I couldn't afford to send the money to Mexico to have them made, have them come back up, and and it was hard finding a maker to make wrestling boots like that.
Absolutely, brother. I'm gonna tell you something.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead, Jake.
By the way, I just want to say this. To the people, there's also the fans that they're. You know what? Let me say this. What we're doing on this show, we have a who's smart enough about wrestling, who is a fan. Sorry, I'm calling myself a fan.
You are. You're a fan.
We all are. Promoter. Wait, where you at? Former promoter. Wait, did I point the right way?
I'm right here, brother.
We have a former promoter. We also have We also had, and he's gone.
And 2 former wrestlers.
2 former wrestlers, and the thing is now. Here's the thing. I see people. But wrestling. A lot of the truck drivers are like wrestlers. They wear like the old truck drivers wear like the cowboy shirts and stuff. Now I see people wearing t-shirts and shorts and sometimes
Well, I'll
pants.
tell you what. I'm going to share something with you, Jake. I don't know if we ever told you this, but the Mr. Murphy here, Armageddon.
Yeah.
That's what he does for a living. He's a truck driver.
Oh.
Well, I used to be a truck driver until I was in a wreck back in June.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to drive truck anymore, but I did it for 38 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that, Mike.
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. Mike is a guy.
Thank you for your service.
Mike is a guy who does not make a ton of money. He gets by. He doesn't make a ton of money, but he took the money he made and he invested it in himself. And I encourage every worker out there, if you have the decency and the respect for the business, respect yourself and look like a pro. Even if you can't work up to that standard yet, looking like a pro is half the battle. You can learn from the people that you're around. Listen to them. Go for the car rides with them. Don't be afraid to ask, can I take a ride with you? I'm not working the show, but I want to listen in. Can I listen to you guys?
Hey, Mike.
Do it. I'm telling you, brother, do it.
Yeah.
I'll bring this guy back in. I got it.
Okay.
Hey.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Kursita Kurchenko for being with us. He is on the road tonight, and he is in the cab of his truck. So we don't know what state he's in. We don't even know what country he's in.
I'm in the great state of Texas right now, but
all right.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
You're quite welcome. A very dear friend of mine is in Texas right now, Cowboy Scott Casey.
Scott Casey, I worked with him a few times.
Yes, I know you did. He's a
Southwest Texas. Freeman Coliseum, matter of fact, I worked with him several times at Freeman Coliseum, San Antonio.
Did you ever work with my buddy Eddie Mansfield?
I never met him personally. I never met him.
As a character, I love Eddie Mansfield. Wow. He is a character and a half. That man he bleeds old school.
Right.
He sweats old school.
Oh, yeah.
And here's a guy that's younger than I am. He started in the business when he was like 12.
You know? Yeah, that's the way I am. I mean, I'm old school, old school all the way, have been, always will be. And that was the business.
Absolutely. Brother, I only know old school. That's what I was raised on. That's what I was weaned on. I learned from guys like Phil Zacco and Arnold Skolin and Bruno, who I knew, rest in peace. And Larry Zabisco, who's been here. Larry is one of our very dear friends on the show. What's that, Jake?
That guy that I just got blocked. That person, Lauren Wayne. I blocked. That's a spam website. That's a spam bot.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Okay.
Yeah, that's a website that if you go to it, it's like a virus.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah,
I blocked it for you.
Well, you handle that. You don't need to tell me. Just as long as you can handle it.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't want you might have thought it was a real person, and
that's fine. Understand something, Jake. When I get on a roll, when you tell me stuff like that, it just kind of throws the whole show into the shitter. So we got to like don't even just block it and don't even say nothing.
All right.
So here's what I say. 2022, it's looking like the year of the shakeup. It looks like WWE is going to make a big announcement somewhere around March or April as to the future of the company. and I believe it's going to be more like April. I also believe that if we hold out long enough, and I think it's going to happen, that old school wrestling is coming back. I believe the old expression, Murph, is everything old is new again. You remember that one? Everything old is new again.
Hope it does. Hope it does.
Yeah.
Love to see it like that.
Absolutely, brother. I'll tell you what, I have held out hope for AEW. When they came around, I said, man, maybe there's a company that's just finally going to give WWE a little run for their money. And thank God they have. Because it's forced everybody to be better, to work better, to work smarter. And I think we've gotten a better product out of it, given the fact that, wrestling still stinks right now. It's a better stink than it was, if that's acceptable.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, Angelo, Vince McMahon has become the monster, a part of the monster that he created.
Yeah, well, it's like I almost want to say it's a better smelling shit,
Yeah.
Well,
like I've always said.
Better word.
I've always said. You can polish a turd all day long, but at the end of the day, it's still a turd.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. A turd is a turd. I don't care how you spit polish it, it's still shit. That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's 8:30 p.m. We went an hour and a half tonight. Beautiful. I'll tell you, first of all, the biggest shout out of the night to our chat room. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We're going to do this more often, this live stuff.
Yeah.
I like this. This is very spontaneous. It's new for me.
A lot of fun.
It's really interesting for me because, like I say, I gained my notoriety on radio, and that's where I've made my bones on radio. And we've done very well. 271 radio stations around the world. That's a real number. You can check that number out. That's a real number.
That is awesome, man.
To 304 podcast platforms worldwide. Every single, listen to this one, you guys. Every single domestic platform, we are on it. Every one. Bar none. Every one. Wow. And we are on 304 globally, including the U.S.
That's wonderful.
271 radio stations, 2 television stations, and the filling in Jake's teeth.
That is wonderful.
I don't have teeth.
I was trying to help you, baby.
Yeah, you know what?
I was trying to help you, brother.
One, I have a little something to say to Kachenko.
I would like you to. Go ahead.
My favorite thing you did on Big Green Bounty Hunters on that show was that cow truck got stuck on the railroad tracks.
Very first show. Yep, I remember that well.
Yeah, and you guys showed the real life of trucking.
Jake, I'll tell you what. While I have Cressida here, okay, since you're a huge fan of that show, and you mark out for them in a big way, Cressida, can I get a commitment from you and your partner, maybe to have you guys on together one night?
Absolutely.
Can we do that for Jake?
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
I think Jake just got a hard on. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the thing is, it's
beautiful. All right, Jake, I arranged it for you, bro.
All right.
Arranged is arranged. It's good to go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Make it happen.
Tell everybody what's coming up for Cressida Kachenko, your social media, where people can get a hold of you.
Hey, I'm always on Facebook. You can look me up, Cressida Zuriel Kurchenko, and I'm not really on Twitter. I don't go on that too often.
Right.
Facebook is my main source of social media. Okay, so
all right,
you find me on social media, and hey, what's coming up for me? I'm writing a book. So
yes.
I'm about done with the book. That's going to be published soon. Yeah, and
you are cordially invited here to promote that book. In fact, we just booked Karen McDaniel. She'll be here in January to promote her book Wahoo. About Wahoo, her husband Wahoo McDaniel.
Wahoo McDaniel,
yeah. We love book authors on the show.
Well, my book is the title of my book is Payback in the First Degree.
I love it.
It's a murder mystery. I think it's gonna be really good.
Oh,
if I say so myself. I'll pat myself on the shoulder here.
Sounds like it's got a movie in it.
I think it does. I've had some people say that it does. We got put some excerpts out there, and some people have said, "Hey, that sounds like a movie."
Well, I'll tell you what, brother, you're lucky because this show is hooked up with a couple of movie people. Straight shoot. They've been on the show too. Michael Murphy, tell everybody where Armageddon can be reached. How did they book you?
On Facebook. You can also always see me on Wrestling with the Future. I'd like to wish Corsita, Jake, and you, all our fans out there, all the people that are, sending in their texts and all. I'd like to wish everybody a very safe and happy New Year. And I hope 2022 proves me wrong, that we will have good wrestling instead of bad.
Yeah.
And for me, that's it. I hope, and hopefully in the spring, we'll be doing some plugs for the Armageddon Pro Wrestling Training Center.
Okay. Jamming Jake the Snake Hudson?
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you besides everywhere?
Twitter, I have two Twitters, at mushroom_Hudson is my personal, and at Hudson Jake is the one I use for the Jake Hudson account. You can find me on Facebook. It's Ellis John Hudson, Ellis ELLIS, John JOHN, Hudson HUDSON. I am also on Instagram under Ellis John Hudson, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jake Hudson. And
all right, beautiful.
And also, you can see me every week
on Wrestling with the Future.
Wrestling with the Future podcast, and
absolutely.
This is my fourth week as a producer in training.
I should tell people that Jake. Let me tell everybody, Jake is here because he's actually our producer in training. I lost my producer, and so I needed another producer, and Jake volunteered for the gig.
That's great.
So here he is. And for this show, you can reach me at Wrestling with the Future, our group page on Facebook. That's a private group page. Wrestling with the Future public fan page on Facebook. You're going to see a lot more stuff in the private group than you do in the public page, obviously. We also have our own dedicated YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Wrestling with the Future. We are on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We are there. And you can reach me at any of those places. I am at Mad Dog on Twitter. Just at Mad Dog.
Mad Dog Zipido.
Yep. And just look for the guy that looks like Vince Russo. That's me. Scary thought.
Yeah.
But join us every week, every Thursday night on Wrestling with the Future. We have singularly I think the greatest podcast in the wrestling business. I really believe that. We pay homage to the old school. We keep their memories alive. That's why we're here. When they're not, we're still talking about them. We lost Butch Reed. this year. We lost a lot of people this year. Unfortunately, Dominic DeNucci. The last interview Dominic DeNucci ever did was right here with us on Wrestling with the Future.
That's awesome.
We were his last interview. The late, great Gordon Soley. I am the last person to ever have their picture taken with Gordon Soley. That came from his daughter, by the way, who told me that. I am the last person he ever took a picture with. And I have that picture. And you can see it. It's up on our Facebook page, our private group, and our public group. So, for Jammin' Jake Hudson, for Michael Murphy, for Christina Kachenko, I'm Angelo Mad Dog DeCipio. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time on Wrestling with the Future. Bye-bye.
And all in the broadcast.